Welcome back to the Mage Meetup, where you listen to a wizard talk about the things he likes and hates in gaming, because with how much mixed reception there is to the Nintendo Switch 2's launch lineup, there's enough love and hate on the internet to go around and feed generations. I hope you're just chilling right now, dude. Like, I hope you're somewhere comfortable with your, shoulders relaxed as you try to figure out what accessory is equipped on my head if you haven't been here before, because I tried to make content to act as a sort of like nightcap to end your long ass day of the real life XP grinding we do just to keep getting reality's battle pass rewards that drop every month. It sucks that it's always utility bills. I don't even think it's remotely a secret how the biggest caveat of being a gamer once you get older and realize that this entire existence shit is at constant nightmare mode difficulty is how we find out that financials, responsibilities, and even the decreasing ability to sit at one place for a long time from back pain feels as if it will forever plague our gaming lives once we reach a certain point of adulthood that we really can't turn back on. And you know me, man, as a wizard I can cast a bad spell but never a good lie. A lot of times this life we live does have very tragic ways of putting things in proportion of what's truly important in your life at any given moment. And for many, especially me, eventually the spare time we had to do things like get every collectible in each platform level will either become less of a priority or sadly not even one altogether. You personally only got like 5 tries out of me before I look up the level on YouTube. I don't have time for these games anymore. Man, to be a semi-honest, hardworking adult and to also try to be a gamer is a perpetual Tony Hawk Pro Skater grind balanced minigame of juggling those two ideals where the former, more times than not, gets the top of the leaderboard, best of you. But luckily, gaming finds ways to prey on the weak-minded who needs an escape from reality, because mental stability for the majority right now is a luxury. So even though I've had my might tested many times to prove just how much I even care about this hobby at all, it's pretty obvious that I still spend time playing games in my limited GPU texture budget of time, and I can tell you straight up that there is a method to my madness, because the meta of trying to play everything that comes out and pull all-nighters on game release night got patched for me many moons ago. So for anyone that still might be in that boat of trying to hold on to gaming while it's rapidly sinking within adulthood, I thought I'd share a few of my strats for anyone to get inspired by, and then maybe create your own game plan to make peace with gaming, because a lot of times, man, we just can't make ourselves want to pick up a controller and immerse our minds into a virtual world. But instead of beating yourself up about it, just hold on, let yourself cook. You're onto something. Because one of the first and really the saddest things I had to come to terms with in adult gaming is the fact that I can't ever make myself want to play video games, That feeling of wanting to see your favorite pixels on a display is like having XX_ in your gamer tag in 2009. You either do or you don't. There is nothing wrong with not feeling like playing a game even if you're already bedrock deep into the hobby. Life kind of tends to happen and your interests fluctuate like player count in between content updates. So if your libido to even play a game kind of fades or gets cut altogether, then there's no point in trying to force a feeling. The thing is though, sometimes we might see some gameplay or like a TikTok or something and then just get the sudden baby fever to either relive that same gaming fun from our younger days or finally get into the hobby if you're among the crowd that's been putting off playing video games. What you gotta understand is that if the feeling to actually play a title is premature and you're more infatuated with just your eyes and not your true core Game Pass feelings, well, that's how you end up spending 2 hours on the Xbox dashboard scrolling through random settings before you fall asleep there on the couch. And I know you're better than that. Yeah, it can sound weird and probably a bit more dramatic than you'd expect for someone who might want to play freaking Dr. Mario or something, but you gotta let that feeling to game naturally just come to you. Of course, you can be inspired by gameplay you see on the internet, and hell, that same gameplay might actually be what sparks your interest in the first place. But you just gotta feel the natural urge to sit down and be encompassed by some real life gameplay, at least after an hour-long install or update to basically every game in existence now. Try to expect that shit beforehand so it doesn't, kill your vibe. Honestly, dude, the best way that I can gauge when I'm in a true gaming mood is if I can actually imagine the stuff I want to do in the game before I even start playing. For example, anytime that I start misplaying Mario Wonder, I just start thinking about all the vibrant colors, the upbeat OST, and good vibe that the game radiates as I slowly lose the concept of sanity on those music block levels, and somehow I get in the mood to play. Yeah, there's some loose screws in there. I just don't ever have long-term success whenever I try to force myself to play a game. It's just not in me anymore. Whenever I even try to do something like that, I usually just end up frustrating myself into a week-long hiatus from gaming until the process repeats and I get the urge to truly play something again. But once I finally do, I then gotta go through the second ritual of squeezing gaming into my life right now, being figuring out which game specifically that I want to waste this chapter of my life on, which you're likely gonna have to take this segment with some more open to interpretation ears, because no matter what gaming platforms you choose to play on right now, you just have so much option, man. Even if money is an issue, you still have more option than you think. It doesn't cost money to break the law, but you didn't hear that from me. And with all this option, I don't know what you like as a player. I mean, I do, I'm in your walls, but there's too many of you, so me personally, I like to just play literally whatever is on my mind during the majority of that day. Usually, I play games at night when I fast travel spawn from work to home, so whatever game is on my mind during that entire work day is usually what I'll boot up in my next gaming session. And it can literally be anything under the sun. Like just earlier today, I had the urge to play Mortal Kombat 9 of all games after seeing that new 2XKO footage and trailer this morning. So you know what I did before I just started recording? Got my ass kicked by a CPU, thank you very much. What can I say, man? I've made entire philosophies trying to convince you guys how free it can be to play any game at any moment in time that you get the sudden feeling to. So my whole thing is not to try too hard at choosing what I want to play these days and then soft locking myself into an infinite boot loop of the same games, creating a cycle of like boredom, especially when it comes to stuff like playing story or long-term RPG games, since we sometimes do feel this burden to only play like 1 or 2 games until we finish them in their entirety, which definitely is not like something you can't prefer to do. I mean, trying not to play those new God of War games in one sitting is basically impossible for me to do. But again, gaming gets very finicky as you get older, so I just think you gotta feel it out and go towards whatever your gut is telling you to play on that day specifically. Don't worry about the next session or what games you feel like you should be playing is my advice. Even if you start playing like a long-term game, if it's genuinely doing something for you, then you'll naturally get the urge to want to play it in one of your next sessions. And if not, well, we all got a cover game that we always come back to anyway, so just go on home. You don't even belong here. But hell yeah, man, let's say you're on Hades sequel level now and so far went 2 for 2. Let's say you actually feel like gaming one day and you have an idea of what you roughly want to play. The only thing left in forging a new gaming lifestyle with nothing but a bunch of scraps is figuring out how to navigate life's ultimate move that usually crits your health stat, being deciding when you can even play video games these days, because once that shift is over, your only objective on your HUD is to usually put your phone on D&D and to lie down. Again, we're going into interpretation territory, but me personally, I usually have like a buffer activity in between me coming home from work and then wanting to play a video game. And what I mean by that is usually I need to do something like eating, sleeping, watching a show, have a mini depression wave, whatever I gotta do to give my mind a rest before I can allow it to be distracted by a video game is what I gotta do to even play nowadays, because I just can't hop on when the day usually leaves my mental energy tank on E. And like I mentioned earlier, the best time for me to game is usually late at night when I wake up from a nap, where I play in short bursts of an hour to 3 hours and then and go back to bed before I gotta, get ready to clock in later that morning. I rarely ever have like longer sessions even on my off days because it's easier for me to savor my enjoyment in smaller increments of time playing than to try and commit all the time I have to play, knowing damn well my sleep schedule is already terrible as it is. Of course, anytime that my schedule changes, so does my timing, like pairing with different weapons, but for the most part, as long as I have some sort of small buffer period in between everything, I can usually play late at night for a few hours of enjoyment. I also like to play some music at low volume while I game. To be honest, the only time that I even listen to new music is when I'm gaming, so I get to kill two birds of hobby with one stone. And depending on if the game requires my full attention, I might even watch a show or a movie on my second screen, or more likely on my iPad that's on my desk right now, since my CPU can't handle video and graphically taxing games at the same time, so I gotta take a win wherever I can fit one in. Overall, I just play these games when it's most convenient for me, but of course, everything that I share is just me broadly speaking about it. Every game in my rotation has like minor differences to how I adapt to playing it, and by that, I mean whether I decide to even leave the bed or not, since handhelds have been carrying me heavy. But if you were to take anything from this lecture today, I would just say to fit gaming into your lifestyle where it's easiest for you, and not to try and revolve your life around what gaming is today, because at the end of the day, your responsibility always comes first, and that's never going to change unless you want to be a bum. In this economy, I understand. But once all your errands are done and you're ready to dive into this limitless hobby, I guarantee you that gaming will still be right there where you last left it.